I have the utmost respect for this guy. He and Robert Stewart became the first astronauts to take an untethered spacewalk. And there's a picture from the space shuttle of him 300 feet away. That's a football field.
Mm-hmm.
A football field away from the space shuttle. Nothing holding him there. He's just in space. You know, if your little self-propelled little rocket things on your suit quit working,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, you remember my reaction to Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon.
Right.
Because most people I know,
I would just be like, whoa, whoa.
That'd be all. It'd be that over and over again. And I'd be like, look at it just, yeah. I mean, this is next level, man.
Right. I mean, was he out there just going like, oh.
It's like Houston. I just crapped my pants. That'd be all. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Chris.
What's going on, dude?
Oh, just about ready to jump into timeline. I'm surprised that we only got through 3 years.
3 years last
time. But you know.
It's fun. Like I'm learning stuff.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of adding to my research list of like things I would really like to talk about,
Yeah.
or research or just know more about.
Yeah.
But I'm also quite impressed with how many things I am remembering specifically. Like, oh yeah, like oh that was huge.
Yeah. Because you always claim I don't remember any of that.
I'm a little fuzzy on details, but big events I do recognize. But you had said it a little bit earlier too, right? It's like as these little things come up, it's like it reminds me of like 8 other things.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, we could, we talked about we could have a series just on music. We could probably do that same thing with just, TV shows.
Hey.
That's a new one, right?
Hey, that's
just
a great
came
idea.
up with that, but I was like, man, there are
That's
so
a great idea.
many good TV shows from like that
I mean, you think about
era.
what was it? Must See TV, the channel, the NBC, like Thursday night lineup of like Family
TV
Ties.
Guide still came out. Like I remember looking through that, going, "Oh my gosh!" It's like they changed the schedule and something different's on. Or this is the once a year that especially when you got around holidays. The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. You had all the Christmas specials.
Yep.
The things
Rudolph.
You couldn't just look them up online or go to
or watch
your
anytime
app.
or stream it.
No, you had to wait for
You
that
had to wait.
stuff. So, no, I'm looking forward. I don't even want to pretend to our audience and try to tell them how many years we're going to try to get through.
Nope.
We're going to start with 1984.
It may be 2.
And we'll just go from there.
We don't know. We don't know how many episodes.
We might get through the spring of 84 and kind of just
and call it a day.
But I do notice that kind of in the mid-80s it gets a little long. And I say we just roll with it and see what happens
roll with
today.
it. There's a song in there. Roll with it,
Just
baby.
roll with it.
Yep. Hey, I got a question for you all because we thought about this and we talked about this when Chris first got over here a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
I would love to have a T-shirt with that on it. Would you all buy one? Would you want one? Like, I don't even care about making any money off of it. Just break even.
Interest.
Just
we need to know
interest.
what the interest is. So that we know if we need to order like 2 or should we order like, more than that.
Because I want to make one.
I mean, I'm getting one. You're getting one too.
Yeah, we should order them together.
We're going to get them.
Yes.
We just want to know, do you want
Does
one?
anybody else want one? Because if you want one, that would be fun to do.
Yeah.
Because whether you watch, I guess you watch the podcast, but if you're out walking around and you see somebody with a shirt like this and you're Gen X, you're reading it going, oh yeah, I like that. I want one of those too.
I have our logo as my screensaver on my laptop.
Oh yeah?
And I do get people that ask.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So maybe that new subscriber that we have maybe it's somebody who's seen my laptop.
Could be.
It could be.
Could be.
So
All right.
we'll see.
Well, let's hit the intro, and then we'll jump into 84.
All right.
Thanks,
Welcome.
guys.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Chris.
What's happening?
Just about to jump into 84 head first.
Head first. We are back again. Another fantastic episode of
Yes.
Rated Gen X, man.
Rated Gen X podcast. Had a great idea while that intro was playing on what we can do, because this doesn't say podcast on here
No.
anywhere. I mean, that's what this is. Rated Gen X podcast. That's what the PC is. But people would know that, because you probably didn't know that till I pointed it out just now. But I have an idea to point people to the podcast with the t-shirt. Put a QR code under this on our back, on the shirt, on the t-shirt. So somebody's standing behind us in line, they're like,
Yeah, they don't even have to.
they don't
even have
talk
to
to
invade
us.
our space. They
No.
can just be like, you know what, I'm gonna check that out.
No. And then if they pull it up while they're waiting there, they'll be like, hey, this is the guy.
He's famous.
They have
somewhere.
44 subscribers. He's famous. Okay. All right, 84. I think I've said this in another episode early on when we talked about something in 84.
Mhm.
84 is oftentimes voted as the best music year of the 80s.
Just glancing, it's going to be
It's-
tough to beat.
it's
I
tough to
don't
beat.
disagree with that.
Right. Yeah, I didn't do the voting. I might vote that, but all right, here we go. Starting off January 9th, Van Halen releases their album 1984. Sold over 20 million copies. Songs like 1984, Jump, Panama, Hot for Teacher. You remember the Hot for Teacher video?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I do. Dude, I had
Stop asking me.
I had this cassette. I bought this one. I did
Oh.
not try to get all these off of the
No,
radio.
I bought this one. I still have this one. It's in
I don't
my
still have it,
cassette
but I bought it.
thing over there that I showed in one of the earlier episodes.
I mean,
I bought the CD.
Yeah, just all those songs. I mean, that probably, and again, 1984. I mean, it came out the day after I turned 11, so
Yeah.
I am fully on, and I'm in
Well,
double
because-
digits now,
Right,
man.
because
I'm like,
Jump had already.
yeah, everything. They had
out.
started being dropped. It got dropped like in late '83. So absolutely, I mean, when it finally came out, it was like you knew, like I want to get these.
Yeah, I'm
And
getting
then
this
with
album.
The power of video from MTV, which I know we ended the last episode with Thriller coming out in December of '83. You know, I mean, I cannot fully explain how important music videos were in the '80s
Oh,
to just a whole range of emotions,
right.
of what any young person was going
And I
through.
would not say, because I've seen some more recent videos of current songs, and some of them are essentially just raunchy.
Yes.
I would not call these videos. I wouldn't call them raunchy.
Okay.
They would be very suggestive.
Well, when you say raunchy, by today's standards or by '80s standards?
Raunchy by my standards.
Okay. All right.
Because it's like
the ratings came out of the '80s, like music ratings.
yes.
So I think there'd probably be some people that, when I say some people, Tipper Gore would probably disagree with you on that.
And Tipper thinks we're trash. That's from a Danger song.
And
in
if
the
you don't
90s.
know, Tipper Gore, the vice president's wife, in the '90s, but it was Tipper Gore that kind of led that, right? Okay.
That kind of led the charge.
Yeah.
It was attached to her.
Yeah.
I'm sure that other people did things, but
But, anyway, Go ahead.
Yeah. So
We won't get too far.
the Hot for Teacher video. I can talk about
We
that
keep
one.
putting the toe in politics every once in a while. And I'm like,
Yeah.
quit going there, dude.
Yeah. All right, February 7th. I'm not exactly sure how to say the last name, and so I've got a couple different ideas. But Bruce McCandless or McCandles, and what? Look at-
McCandles sounds so stupid.
I know.
I think it's McCandless.
I think it's McCandless. Bruce McCandless.
Is it
and
McCandles? Because there's two S's on it. I would not have gone with McCandles.
I know, but you know how some people.
McCandles is
I have the utmost respect for this guy. He and Robert Stewart became the first astronauts to take an untethered spacewalk. And there's a picture from the space shuttle, of course you'll see it, of him 300 feet away. That's a football field.
Mm-hmm.
A football field away from the space shuttle. Nothing holding him there. He's just in space. You know, if your little self-propelled little rocket things on your suit quit working,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, you remember my reaction to Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon.
Right.
I mean, this is next level, man. This
Right.
is-
I mean, was he out there just going like, oh.
It's like Houston. I just crapped my pants.
Hope this spacesuit
mean-
has a waste disposal.
And I've not watched any like interviews or anything with him, but it'd be
No.
interesting. Like, what was going through your mind?
I mean, was there any sense of, I'm really about to do this? If this goes bad, there is no. I mean,
Or
hopefully they had some kind
first
of.
off, you're already in space. You've attached yourself to a rocket
Yeah.
and just
Done something that most people wouldn't
blasted
do.
off. I mean, so at what point just? I mean, I'm already.
Is it
here.
just another day?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm already in
at-
space.
At,
Strapped
at
to
some
this
point,
huge
maybe
rocket.
that's all that it is. Like, yeah, stepping on the moon, no big deal.
Ooh.
300 feet
So-
away from everything, literally just out in the universe.
Yep.
It's just crazy.
Yep. March 27th, I bought this album too. Cassette. Run DMC releases their first album, self-titled, with songs Hard Times, Jam Master Jay, and It's Like That. It's Like That. I mean, dude, I played that
Good.
over and over.
Good music right there.
Yep. Continuing with the music theme, May 29th, Tina Turner. Not her first album by any means, but Tina Turner releases Private Dancer, which had What's Love Got to Do with it? Oh,
What's love got to do?
yep.
got
Private Dancer, Better Be Good to Me. Just, you know,
She was amazing. She is. She's passed away.
she has passed away recently, yes.
She was amazing.
Yes. And just never sounded like she was straining to sing anything, but she could belt it out. And just powerful songs. Yeah. And why stop now?
Yeah, keep going.
You know, June 4th, Bruce Springsteen releases Born in the USA.
That's right up
Now-
there with the Miracle on Ice as far as
Yeah.
like being patriotic and just like, yeah.
Just the album cover, him standing there, you know.
Good,
I did
good
not
song.
own this album, but I did have most of these songs. Songs Born in the USA, Cover Me, I'm on Fire, Glory Days. The Glory Days video was great.
Yeah.
And then Dancing in the Dark. I have a little trivia piece about Dancing in the Dark.
Yeah. What's the trivia?
So the actress that was pulled up on stage,
Mhm.
or the girl that was pulled up on stage at the end of the Dancing in the Dark video, Courtney Cox.
I knew that. I wonder how many people don't.
Yeah,
Probably a lot.
from Friends.
What? Some of our younger viewers may not know that.
Yeah.
Who's Courtney Cox?
Right. Well, and that was kind of her first like big exposure into anything. I don't know. I don't think it was random. You know that she was the one pulled up on stage.
No, I from
I think
what
it
I
was
understand,
planned.
she was planned.
She was chosen.
Yeah.
and told what was going to happen. But that was kind of her first big exposure, and then her career just exploded after that.
The Boss.
The Boss, yes. And again, no shortage of music. June 25th, Prince releases Purple Rain album.
Dirty movie right there.
Yes.
Good movie, but in 1984, that was dirty movie.
Yeah, Purple Rain songs. Purple Rain, Let's Go Crazy. The guitar solo at the end of Let's Go Crazy. Oh, and I hated it because I tried to record it off the radio, and half the time the radio edit version did not play the guitar solo at the end, and so it just go wow, and I was like,
"What happened?
What? Where's that?" Yeah, but every now and then, and I got it one time, and I was just like, "Yeah." I'm like so stoked that I got it. Just that whole guitar solo at the end of Let's Go Crazy, I was just like, "Yeah, it's great."
Wasn't he pretty much a genius when it came to...
He was a one-man band.
I was going to say, he played like pretty much anything, right?
Just about every instrument on his albums, he played.
Yeah.
So he would lay down the bass track, and then he would lay down the rhythm guitar, and then he would lay down the drum, so he would do all that stuff. And I'm sure the order's off, but...
What? Dude, super short.
Yeah.
Had a perm, super flamboyantly dressed, and could probably take your girl in like 2 seconds, man. Because dude was bad.
Yeah,
he's just
and changed his name to something that couldn't be pronounced. Just a very
I forgot about that.
very eccentric guy. But
I wonder if that upset him because then he's just permanently the artist formerly known as Prince.
Taff Cap. It's like everybody called him Taff Cap, the artist formerly known as Prince. And then he just wanted to be known as the artist for a while.
The artist,
but unbelievably otherworldly talented.
Yeah, amazing.
But Let's Go Crazy, When Doves Cry, and I Would Die for You. Yeah,
good stuff.
All of those. I hear them playing simultaneously in my head. July 12th, Democratic candidate Walter Mondale. Before this, he announced that he was going to run for president, but he, on July 12th, selects Geraldine Ferraro as his running mate. First woman ever selected to be to run for vice president, and I remember that.
I do remember that very vividly.
And I
thought it was really cool.
I thought it was cool, but I remember looking at her going, as an adolescent in the 80s watching these videos on MTV, and then to see Geraldine Ferraro, she just didn't do it for me.
There was a difference.
There was a difference. Now, if the Hot for Teacher girl, if she was running, hey, all right. Yeah, that's what happens when you're...
I don't know why they wouldn't let us vote.
Right, I was 12. So, July 27th, Metallica releases Ride the Lightning. Which
I can see why this is a really good year for music.
Yeah. Song For Whom the Bell Tolls and Fade to Black. Fade to Black is just one of those songs that you can just kind of play in the background and just kind of groove to. It's metal enough to be metal, but it's not just like, it's not just going to kick you in the face. You can just kind of like, yeah.
But I think it was really probably late 80s, early 90s before their talent was fully realized.
Right,
Metallica is the whole band, they're super freaking talented, man.
The drummer, Lars, I believe his name is oftentimes regarded as, if not the one of the best drummers of all time. Just again, but you're right. Their talent, they were just a metal band.
Yeah.
That made some noise, but it wasn't until the longevity of Metallica, and then they were like, "Oh, these guys are really good. They can really play." So, there's that. And then July 28th, the very next day, the opening ceremonies of the LA Olympics is held. I remember watching. I've watched every opening ceremony since I can remember.
Yeah.
Of
summer
and winter.
Okay.
I've seen all the opening ceremonies. Nice. and it was a big deal at our house. That was one of the few times, and I think I may have said this in other episodes, that was one of the few times that we could eat somewhere other than the dining room.
Oh, very cool.
There were 2 times that we could, 2 times always that we could eat somewhere else. That was during the World Series and during the Olympics. We could eat, watch TV. Every other time we had to eat in the dining room.
I've seen quite a few of them, but I can't say I've seen them all.
I have seen them all.
Very nice.
And the USSR and its allies boycotted as kind of a snub
What?
back to us for
Little payback
boycotting
for the 80 Olympics.
Boycotting in the 80s. And of course, we cleaned house because, there's that. And I remember these I remember all these things, but
Yeah.
August 3rd, so the day before my birthday, Mary Lou Retton won gold at the LA Olympics at a time when gymnastics was dominated by Eastern Europeans. She was the first American to win the all-around gold medal and scored a perfect 10 on the vault.
Yeah,
and
I do
remember that vault.
I remember
and
watching
Bella
that.
Caroli being there and just like, yeah. Just
And not harsh on the eyes either. I was totally
No.
in love with Mary Lou Retton.
Oh, yeah,
I
the
just,
little bob haircut. And she
Yeah,
was on the
just-
Wheaties boxes and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And I was like,
She was my
show
hero.
more of her.
Yeah. But I remember that vault and just how,
And she
like,
stuck it.
I mean, it was just like, strong, like boom. And you're like, holy.
Boom, up in the
I mean,
air.
I had no idea how the rating system
No,
worked or anything
no,
like
I
that.
still
but
don't.
Even I knew at 11, that's a 10. That's
Right.
a 10, man. I mean, no, that was
Yeah.
awesome. Awesome moment.
Yep.
So are these next ones coming up? too.
Yep. So next day on my birthday, Carl Lewis won the 100-meter dash.
Gold.
And I remember
gold.
gold.
in the 100 meter
Yeah,
dash.
won the 100-meter dash.
I guess
So
when you
gold,
win,
yeah.
you get the gold
Yeah,
in the
that's true.
Olympics. Okay.
But I mean, I just remember watching him going like, that dude is flying. And then a few days later, August 8th, Carl Lewis won the 200-meter gold. And again, he was just fast. And there were songs about him.
Yeah.
And he was in all these ads and stuff like that. I mean, Carl Lewis was just
You know what I recall from that? At that age, not being so impressed because it was so fast. It's like, you hear the starter gun like, and it's done. It's like, huh. I didn't realize till years later they're like, wow, that was really amazing. That was
Yeah.
amazing. But yeah, as a kid, I remember not being super impressed because it was just kind of like he started there, done. Yeah, okay.
I
What's
just
next?
I think I was impressed just because, it was an American and we won and forget all y'all. October the 15th, the Judds, again, I'm trying to hit different genres.
Mm-hmm.
The Judds released their first album, Why Not Me. Had the song Why Not Me and Mama He's Crazy.
Two good songs. Great duo.
Yes, their voices, mother-daughter,
Yeah,
but their voices blended so well.
really,
I always
really
thought the
good.
mom was a lot hotter than the daughter.
Same. Yeah. I agree. So interesting thing about the Judds. Years later, when they, I guess maybe the first time that they stopped touring. So
Yeah.
this was in the early '90s.
Right.
MTSU is where they did their last concert, and so I was supposed to be a seat filler for that concert, but 20 or 21-year-old Chris did not own a suit, so the event director told me I couldn't come back unless I had a suit, and I was like, it's not really worth it.
Wow.
But
I never knew that.
But so I was in the I think the Murphy Center is where it was. I was in there for a class the day before, and the day before the televised final Judds concert was rehearsal for everybody. So I went into the auditorium and was sitting there with some other friends and classmates. And we literally watched the whole concert the day before.
Nice.
And all the other, country music folks that were performing with them were there. And, they were we had kind of goofed around because we're like, well, they're already practicing crying, right? You know, they're very emotional because they knew what was coming and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the event directors came up and said, hey, we need seat fillers for tomorrow for when people down in the camera view get up to go to the restroom or, you know, whatever. You run down and you sit in that seat so it always looks full to the cameras for the televised event. And we were like, yeah, I'm in.
Free concert, yeah.
Show up tomorrow, you know, come ask for me and be in a suit. And I'm like, whoa. A what? You need to be in a suit. I don't have a suit. Well, all right, then do you have a suit? You have a, okay, and so I missed out on being at that concert. But
should have told me.
Anyway.
Pretty sure I had a suit somewhere.
It's all good.
All right. And
we're only going to get through 1 year, 2 years maybe.
But we might cut it at 85.
All right.
All right. November 6th, to round out 84, Reagan wins re-election over Walter Mondale by a landslide. Like, in all seriousness, I don't know that we'll ever see a presidential election won this badly or this one-sidedly ever again.
Yeah, is that the electoral votes?
That was the electoral votes,
Yeah.
525 to 13.
Wow.
I think Mondale won his home state, and that was it. Every other state. I think I found a picture of that, of the electoral map. You know, it has the red and the blue, and it's just
got one little blue
it's just
spot.
red with like a of blue.
That's crazy.
And you know, that's, I don't know that we'll see that again. Just
no.
because.
That's wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't think I ever knew that.
I knew he won big, but then when I was doing the research looking at this, I looked at it and I was like, oh my. That's
I wonder if
great.
that's ever been done before. It certainly hasn't been done after.
No.
Because I feel like we recall all of those, but
right.
that's wow. It's huge. It's a big way to end 1984.
All right, let's hit 85.
85 is relatively shorter in comparison, so we'll be able to get through 85.
Yeah.
We'll be halfway through the 80s. Okay.
In 2 episodes.
Right. All right, 1985. We'll start with January 21st. Run DMC is back with King of Rock, releasing that album, including the songs King of Rock, You Talk Too Much, and It's Not Funny. Dude, I had Run DMC. I loved Run
I had
DMC.
King of Rock album.
This is during my rap period.
Yeah.
I really did.
I think most 80s kids had a rap.
Absolutely. There's a couple. I'm sure there's
Time.
another.
And this is where we start to see the commercialization of rap more and more.
Yes.
And it becomes more mainstream. It wasn't something that, you don't really hear that much, until you start hearing them on the radio.
They were good. And that's also where I think radio edits started. Most likely. There may have been a couple before that, but not many.
Yeah.
Once you brought rap, not just Run DMC, but there's a couple other groups.
Well, some rock bands, you had radio edit. The radio version.
Yeah.
Because you buy the album and it'd be the regular version, you'd be like,
oh, I don't remember hearing this at all.
Playing it and your mom's like, what is that? It's not on the radio like that.
I don't know. What?
I just bought it. They let me.
January 28th of 1985, more than 40 recording artists gather in Hollywood to record We Are the World for famine relief in Africa. Have you watched that documentary?
I haven't watched the documentary. Of course, I've seen the video.
I think it's called like
the
greatest night ever or something like that. I think it came out.
It's probably one of the biggest collaborations of all time.
The documentary on that night and how it came together and what it actually took, to me, was pretty amazing. And it took much longer than what they thought, and just...
Well, can you imagine just a room full of superstars?
Yeah.
Hey, I need y'all to do this. And they're the ones that are usually calling the shots.
And the thing is there's only one that left once it started getting off track, and you started having some rewrites, and then you had some weirdness go on.
Who left?
Waylon Jennings.
Really?
Yeah.
I do know that Prince was not there at all.
He wasn't. I think it's his bandmate was invited, thinking that they would, she became a successful in her own right eventually. But part of the documentary talks about that they really wanted Prince to be there, and so someone that worked with him was invited with the thought of, oh well, yeah, they'll show up together, but he never.
That doesn't make. Invite the guy.
Well, I think he was invited, but I think he declined.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But yeah, the documentary on that's pretty cool to watch.
I'll have to look for that.
February the 14th, Whitney Houston releases her first album, self-titled, with songs that included "You Give Good Love," "Saving All My Love," "How Will I Know," "Greatest Love of All."
Talk about somebody else that just had a big voice,
dude,
big
pipes,
songs.
man. My gosh.
Yeah, I mean, she could belt it out.
That's and it's sometimes I hesitate a little bit because I know the history obviously of where it ends up, and sometimes it's just sad to be like,
right.
I'm sorry. Darn.
I have to bleep that out.
All right,
I have to get my
my
bleep on.
May 13th, Dire Straits releases Brothers in Arms. That album included "So Far Away," "Money for Nothing," "Walk of Life," "Brothers in Arms." Really good.
Money for Nothing. When they play that on the radio now, they take out an entire verse.
I don't know that.
Yep. You have to look it up. I'm not going to say it, but
I'll have to check that out too.
They but I remember the Walk of Life video is a bunch of baseball bloopers. That was a great video.
I do. I do. Sometimes I don't remember it until you say it, and I'm like, yeah, that was really good. September 11th, Pete Rose breaks Ty Cobb's all-time hits record, 4,189, when he got hit number 4190.
I remember watching him do that.
I was going to say, I remember watching the hit and the run. Oh, man.
Yep, and just, him, hats off to everybody that was applauding him and all that kind of stuff, and
yeah,
he is. Cool. We talked about this before. He has since passed. I have zero influence on anything at all, but vote the guy into the Baseball Hall of Fame. I mean, come on. Just.
Did you ever meet him or see him? Any of these baseball?
No, but you told me about meeting him.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I really called meeting him.
Or you saw him.
Yeah.
No, I did not ever see him in person, but vote the guy in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think it's time. It's time, America. November 18th, LL Cool J releases his first album, Radio. Songs include "I Can't Live Without My Radio," "Rock the Bells."
Rock the bells.
Rock the bells.
That's another just cool dude, man.
Yeah.
I really do like him.
Yeah.
You know what made me like him the most is when he whooped up on that dude that broke into his house. Did you ever hear about that?
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, it's like somebody broke into his house. He just took care of business.
Yeah.
And just, that made me dislike him that much more. But
Yeah.
he's stacked, man. That's a dude that's just, I don't know. I've always liked him.
Yeah, I always thought it was kind of cool because, like, a little bit later on in the 80s, LL Cool J and Ice-T kind of had a little beef, and they would kind of, make songs about the other, and then because LL Cool J was from New York and Ice-T was from California, and they kind of made fun, the other coast. They would
East Coast, West Coast,
right, East Coast, West Coast kind of thing. But now, LL Cool J is on a TV show based in California, and Ice-T is on a TV show based in New York.
Yeah.
And they have long since gotten past their beef.
Yeah.
But occasionally they'll talk about it or something like that. And I saw an interview with Ice-T where he was talking about it, and it was a thing at the time, but it was more
They're
just
all getting old now, man.
Yeah, they're all just like, hey, we realized that we were kind of some of the pioneers of this, and that was a long time ago, and we've moved past
Bygones.
that. But the two guys that I really liked that for a time didn't like each other.
Well, speaking of two guys who didn't like each other, November 19th, the first meeting between the U.S. and Soviet leaders occurs in Geneva between Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev. That was the quintessential.
I think it was first meeting in a while because I meant to put that in.
Okay, so that's not.
Because Nixon
All right.
met with,
How about we say November 19th, Reagan and Gorbachev met
yeah.
in Geneva. We'll run with that.
Yeah. Maybe it was the first time they
Breaking
met
news.
in Geneva.
That was the quintessential Cold War leader in my mind for Russia.
Yeah. Gorbachev,
Yeah.
yeah.
And his, I know everybody always made fun of the little birthmark he had on his
Yeah,
head.
Robin Williams used to go, what is that, a map of Albania on your head? You know.
But the, and that's, so that meeting happened. We eventually know what happens there in a few years, but
Yeah.
we still got a little bit of the Cold War
Oh,
left.
yeah, still Cold War in it.
December 11th of 1985, where I think we're going to wrap up this episode.
Yeah.
General Electric purchases RCA for $6.28 billion. It's the largest corporate merger outside of the oil industry at the time.
$6.28 billion is a lot of money, especially in 85.
I was going to say in 85, that, like, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot now.
Right.
But
What is it, about 4 times,
now,
essentially, the inflation from then to now?
yeah, something
about
that's
4.
pretty close. I mean, you're looking
So that's a
$25 million
billion
billion
dollar
deal. That's insane. But that wraps up 1985. So
Yeah.
we are halfway through the 80s.
Yeah.
And that's taken a couple of episodes to get to
Hey,
this point.
you know what? I said at the very beginning, I don't really care how long it takes.
I don't either.
I'm enjoying this. I hope you
I
all
think
are
it's
enjoying this. Would you buy a T-shirt?
Same.
You know?
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. All right. So,
And
wow. Was that 2 years we got there?
yes. I mean, we don't jinx ourselves, you know.
No, I
Next
could've-
episode, we'll get as far as we get.
Right.
And
I
we'll
could
go
have.
from there.
I think I could have done the entire episode on 84.
You could have, because you could have added some more
I
music.
could have added a lot more music,
And, you know, there's still, I mean.
and I didn't even have TV shows in here.
I mean, you give me like 5 minutes to just look up 1984, and I could probably add a few more things to
Right.
it. So,
right.
I asked the question last,
yeah.
so it's your turn to come up
My
with a
turn to
question.
ask the question.
So we're referring to our book of answers only.
No questions.
Other host asks the question, and then the book gives us the answers to that. Sometimes it makes
Think
sense.
of it
sometimes
as
it
the
doesn't.
magic 8-ball with lots more answers.
That's a great way to put
Yeah?
that. I do. I like that. I'm not going to shake it.
No,
I'm not going to throw it
you know
around
what?
or anything. I'll just
We
open
should
it.
get a magic 8-ball.
We absolutely should.
That should be one of our mainstay props coming up.
Magic 8 ball and a Rubik's Cube.
I got a Rubik's Cube
You got a
somewhere.
Rubik- Okay. I may have. I was more of the Rubik's pyramid kind of person.
Oh yeah,
I never solved either one of them. So
I still have the Rubik's rings, where it was this flat piece. I've got it somewhere. I actually know where it is.
it was the continued evolution.
It's
of
the
it, right?
rings, and you would it was held together with fishing line, and you would fold it over and flip it up, and you had to link the rings. There were 3 rings that were not linked, and then if you flipped it over on the back side, they were linked but not put together, and so you had to flip it a certain way. I'm pretty sure I could still do it.
And solve it.
I'm pretty sure I
I've
could still
never
solve
solved a Rubik's anything.
it. I might do that on an episode,
I would like to see that.
because we could do a whole thing on toys.
We could find out what. Oh, we could. All right,
So music,
we could.
TV shows, toys.
Yeah,
Oh,
I totally have some action figures I can bring.
I have a thing. It was called the Pounda Truck. That's what it was called. But it was just this plastic, like super plastic. Made it all through the 80s, and somehow my youngest brother, my brother's kids, like cracked it. So my mom tried to glue it back together. So, but it's still mostly together. And I know Kevin watches these. So Kevin, I'm sorry, but you know, as much abuse as we put that thing through in the 80s, and then your boys cracked it, they must have been a lot rougher on it than I was, or the fact that it's
I mean,
40-something years older and it's a little more
eventually
brittle.
Something's gonna dry rot. I mean,
Right.
it's like, come on.
Right. All right. So,
All right, what's
question.
your question?
Question is, was 1984 the best year for 80s music?
Oh, okay. Was 1984 the best year for 80s music?
That's putting a lot out there.
Last time I went to the back of the book, so I'm going to go closer to the kind of the front third this time. The answer, it is sure to make things interesting.
Okay. So it's not giving us a definite answer, but it's saying that
1984, musical 1984 absolutely made things interesting.
yeah.
We talked about, I mean, just in January alone with Hot for Teacher video, I mean, that made things interesting.
If you have not seen the Hot for Teacher video or have not seen it in a while, I encourage you, surely,
I'm going to go home and watch it tonight.
surely it is on YouTube somewhere. And just imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just imagine as an 11 or 12-year-old boy with, very little supervision,
Oh, yeah.
unsupervised.
I'm sure I had breathing problems. I didn't know what blood pressure was, but I knew mine was off.
Yep.
It was something.
And I knew I needed to just stay put for a while.
I
So
was like, when does that video come back on? Because I will be
how,
right here.
how often does that play? So,
All
right.
It is sure to make things interesting. I
yeah,
think that's
sure
the
to make
perfect
things
answer.
interesting. All right, we're hoping we're hoping we are making things interesting for you on our
I'm
Gen
interested.
X timeline. I'm interested. I'm having fun.
We'll come
So-
back to 1986 next episode.
Come back to 1986.
I look
Yes.
forward to that.
Yep. That's
Awesome. It's gonna have there's quite a few things in there that
yeah.
will be
Oh,
really
especially
interesting.
right in the beginning there.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
I remember that vividly.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for watching.
You guys join us.
Appreciate
next time.
y'all. Like, share, subscribe, share. Tell somebody. Say these guys are terrible. You should watch them. All right. See y'all.
See.